In this session, let's talk about arguments object when it comes to arrow functions, how this arguments object work. And in one of the previous sessions, we already saw the basics of arguments object for non-arrow or normal functions. How does it work? Let's do that quick revision. Let's say we have a function, say ABC. So this arguments object, because of this, we can create a function without any arguments. And at the time of calling the function, we can provide any number of arguments or any arguments. So basically what's happening is I'm creating a function ABC. At the time of defining my function, I'm not giving any arguments to it, but at the time of calling the function, I'm providing the arguments. And the way we can use these arguments is by using this arguments object. So if I want to display it in console.log, it will be arguments of 0 will be the 0th index. So this object acts as an array. So whatever arguments are passed by the user at the time of calling the function, it'll create an array of those arguments, and we can access those values by 0th index, first index, second index. So in this case, when we do argument of 0, we'll get the output as 10 over here. So when we run this program, we can see the output 10. Now this arguments object, which is currently available for a normal non-arrow function, is not available for arrow function that way. In the sense, if I convert this function into an arrow function, say let ABC equals, and now this is my arrow function here. When we rerun this program, in the output, instead of 10, we are getting an empty object.
Hey there. If you're finding this video helpful, you'll love our full online course on JavaScript with node.js. It goes even more in depth and covers everything you need to know. Check out the link in the description to enroll and take your skills to the next level.
So one thing which we want to understand is, for an arrow function, there is no default arguments object. It inherits the argument object from the surrounding lexical scope. So in this case, what is the surrounding scope where this function is defined? It is defined at the global level. At global level, because this is a node.js environment, the global object is empty, and that's what we are getting over here. But if we actually surround this with a function, for example, let's create a function, say non-arrow function. And in the non-arrow function, let's say we use this one here, and inside that we add another arrow function here, which we can call right over here. So what we are doing is, we have a function which is a normal, regular non-arrow function, and when we call this function, we are passing these 3 arguments, which obviously are accessible with arguments object with the array, like 0 is 10, 1 is 20, and 2 is 30 in this particular case. And we have this arrow function which is part of this normal function, or we can just make it like arrow function and call the same over here. Okay, so now in this particular structure, for this arrow function, the surrounding scope is this non-arrow function. So in this case, this arguments object will be inherited from its surrounding scope, which is this non-arrow function. So in this case, whatever is the arguments object, whatever are its values, those values will be the same for this enclosing arrow function. So over here, when we run this program, we'll get 10 and 10. So this 10 is getting printed by line 7. The another 10 is getting printed by this particular line, which is line 9. So it means that the arguments object from the outer function is available for the inner arrow function. For example, from this array, if I want to access first element, so over here I'm accessing 0th element. Inside the arrow function, I want to access the first element of the array. We can still do that. So when we rerun, and we want to save it, so when we rerun, we can see 10 and 20. So this 20 is getting printed from this one, which is the second element of the arguments object. Very interesting. So in short, arrow functions do not have their own arguments object. Instead, they inherit the arguments object from the surrounding non-arrow function. As simple as that.
Thanks for watching. If you want to dive deeper into JavaScript with node.js, don't forget to explore our complete online course. Click the link in the description to get started today. Plus, subscribing to our channel ensures you won't miss out on more valuable content in the future. See you in the class.